inspire people, and they're so far away from reality. So my journey into analytics started, when I wanted to know that what is the business enablement power of L&D. So how can L&D become a true business enabler, and what are the metrics that really matter? So what we were displaying, so for example, all of you have seen feedback forms which say, did the trainer use humor? And then we say yes or no on a scale of 1 to 5, how humorous the trainer was, right? I tried correlating that with business results. It took a while, guys. It really took a while to get that sorted out. So what is it that we really measure? What really matters? How can we truly be a business enabler? And that was the starting point of analytics for me. And I claim no expertise on the subject, but I'll be happy to share with you some case studies that we did in this organization and in the organizations in the past. The metrics that really mattered, that we captured, tracked, analyzed, and that produced significant business results. So Amit, during the course of today's discussion, I will keep alluding to these examples because these are the practical applications of analytics that I would like to talk about.
Thanks, Bindu. I'm sure the participants would benefit. Tarun, your views?
Thank you very much. So being the last speaker amongst the panelists, always very difficult to contribute, but still I would like to, I'll speak, my context is in two parts. The first thing, I'll go back to the start of our career, how analytics used to get highlighted and what has actually changed and how are we proceeding with the challenges on data analytics, etc. in MTS. I represent MTS, which is a telecom operator. Now, on the context part, I remember one of my earlier CEOs. He always used to make a comment, and it's a very famous quote. Everybody would have heard, especially when HR review used to happen. There used to be all functional reviews happening. HR review, whenever used to happen, there were subjective comments and lot of slides showing projections and all those things. Analytics plus lot of software aspects. So he used to always comment that trust we do only in God. For everything else, please bring us data. So we used to wonder as to what else we can bring in HR, and we used to argue with him that HR is not only about numbers. There are a lot of things which are behind the scenes, behind the numbers. How the organization is progressing is also important to address. But that statement still reminds me every time when I appear in any kind of review or any such platform that yes, for any substantial discussion, you have to have some data. Second thing which strikes me, again, one of my previous business heads, he used to make a comment that HR works on gut feeling. So gut feeling meaning that all decisions which you arrive at in HR is usually based on guts. So when we try and get into data analytics, so most of the times the discussion becomes subjective, and usually it is gut. So you have to move from gut to data-based analytics. So this is some background which while I was sitting, I was trying to think something different from what others are saying. So these two things I could think of. Now coming to the subject today, which is big data analytics. Now, what actually is big data analytics? First thing is that what is the change we see now is that HR as a function is supposed to nowadays, at least I can talk about my organization, is supposed to attend all kind of business meetings, which earlier was restricted. HR was called in some meetings were purely business, some meetings were, for some other sect of functions. But at least what I am able to see now is that irrespective of whatever forums are there, HR is represented. And some of the days, whole days, I am participating in such meetings which are purely to do with business. Of course, in the entire meeting going throughout the day, there are some questions on people, some questions on productivity, or some questions on some other metrics, etc. But still, HR is made to participate in such kind of meetings, meaning what? That business also realizes that if we need to move in tandem, we need to involve HR in all such forums. Now, when we are sitting in such forums, what I can see that 90 to 95% discussion is happening only on numbers. So any function presenting any kind of analysis is purely numbers. Now, I used to interact a lot, and I've started that in the last 1 year or so with my CIO, who's our Chief Information Officer. So it's very good to interact with those kind of people, because then you get a lot of perspectives. So I used to ask him, what is actually big data? Because it's a word which is very common, but what is that and what we can do in HR? Then he took us through a very brief background. He said you have to have HRMS, you have to have a platform, and then there are freewares available in the market which you put over and above your HRMS and platforms. Now those freewares allow you to create some patterns. So some patterns with respect to people metrics, and then you can define what do you want. So when you say freewares, so meaning that